Part 1. My beloved child, there is something you need to hear before you decide what this meeting meant. Your soulmate recently had a private conversation with someone who is much closer to you than you realize, and what makes this different is not simply who they met, but why they chose that person instead of coming directly to you. Don't skip, because the first thing that was said in that conversation may completely change the way you understand their silence. At first, it looked ordinary. A simple meeting. A few quiet words. Nothing dramatic. But beneath those calm moments was a question your soulmate had been carrying for far too long: do they still feel the same about me? And instead of asking you, they asked someone close to you. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you, and the deeper truth is far more emotional than you might expect. What happened next was the part your soulmate never expected to reveal. They began asking about you. Not casually, not like someone simply trying to satisfy curiosity, but like someone desperately searching for reassurance. They wanted to know whether you had changed. Whether you still thought about them. Whether your heart had moved on. And then came the question that made the entire conversation suddenly serious: have they ever mentioned me? The person sitting across from them hesitated, because they knew that one answer could change everything. Your soulmate noticed that hesitation immediately. They understood there was something being held back. And instead of walking away, they asked again. This time, more quietly, please tell me the truth. I need to know. Don't skip now, because this is where the hidden part of the story begins. The answer they received was not what they expected, and it forced them to confront a feeling they had been trying to ignore. Then, just when the conversation seemed finished, your soulmate revealed something even more unexpected. They admitted that they had almost contacted you themselves. They had opened the message, thought about what to say, and then stopped. Not once. More than once. Their fear was not that you would reject them, it was that you might no longer care. And the person close to you finally said something that stayed in your soulmate's mind long after the meeting ended. If you truly want to know how they feel, stop guessing and be honest with them. Your soulmate became silent. That sentence reached a place they had been protecting for a long time. They realized that hiding behind distance was becoming harder than telling you the truth. And before leaving, they made a decision that could become the turning point of this entire story. They said, then maybe it's time they hear it from me. Stay till the end of this journey, because this secret meeting was not the ending. It was the first sign that something your soulmate has kept buried is finally beginning to come to the surface. Part 2. There was one sentence your soulmate heard that they could not stop thinking about afterward. The person close to you looked at them and said, "You are asking me about them, but you should be asking yourself why you are still afraid to go back." Your soulmate went completely quiet. Because deep down, they already knew the answer. They had been pretending that distance meant they had moved on, but the truth was the opposite. Every time your name came up, something inside them shifted. And now, after hearing what this person knew about you, they realized they might have misunderstood your silence all along. Don't skip, because what they discovered next made them question one decision they had made about you. The person close to you then revealed something your soulmate never expected to hear: you had not forgotten them as easily as they imagined. They explained that there were moments when your name came up, moments when certain memories still carried weight, and moments when you became unusually quiet when the subject turned toward your soulmate. Your soulmate listened without interrupting. They did not smile. They did not celebrate. Instead, their expression changed because they suddenly understood that the door they believed was completely closed might never have been locked in the first place. Then came the question that changed the entire conversation: if they still care, why haven't they reached out? The answer was simple but powerful: maybe they are waiting for you to show that you care first. Something huge is waiting for you in this story, because those words gave your soulmate a possibility they had almost stopped believing in. And before the meeting ended, your soulmate made a promise they did not make lightly. They said they would stop trying to read your mind from a distance. They would stop assuming that your silence meant rejection. Most importantly, they admitted something they had never said aloud before: I don't want to lose them because I was too afraid to tell them the truth. The person close to you simply looked at them and said, then don't let fear make the decision for you. Your soulmate left that meeting carrying those words with them. But here is the part you absolutely should not miss: they did not go home and forget about it. That night, they opened your conversation, stared at your name, and began typing a message. They stopped once, deleted it, started again. And this time, they wrote something that revealed exactly what that secret meeting had awakened inside them. Stay till the end, because the message they almost sent may explain everything their silence has been hiding. Part 3. Something changed the moment your soulmate finished typing that message. Their finger hovered over the screen, but they could not press send. They read the words again and again, realizing that this was no longer a casual message, it was the truth they had been avoiding. They had written that they missed the connection, that they often wondered what you were thinking, and that there were things they wished they had said when they had the chance. Then they erased the entire message. Not because they had nothing to say, but because they suddenly understood that once the truth was spoken, they could never hide behind silence again. Don't skip, because what happened next connects directly to the person they secretly met. The next morning, your soulmate contacted that person again. There was no small talk this time. They immediately asked, if you were me, would you tell them everything? The answer came after a long pause: not everything at once. Tell them what is real. Your soulmate asked what that meant. The response was simple: tell them why you disappeared. Tell them what you were afraid of. And tell them whether you still want them in your life. Those words hit harder than anything else from the previous meeting. Your soulmate finally admitted that their biggest mistake had been expecting you to understand feelings they had never expressed. They had wanted you to recognize their silence, interpret their distance, and somehow know what was happening inside them. But now they realized something painful: you could never respond to a truth they had never given you. And then came the revelation that could change the entire direction of this story. The person close to you told your soulmate, there is something about them you don't know. Your soulmate immediately asked what it was. The answer was not what they expected. It was about a moment involving you, something small that happened when nobody was watching, something that suggested your feelings were far more complicated than they appeared from the outside. Your soulmate listened carefully, and their entire expression changed. They realized they might have judged your silence completely wrong. Suddenly, the meeting they thought was about discovering your feelings became a discovery about their own. And before the conversation ended, your soulmate said 4 words that revealed what they truly wanted: "I need to see them." Stay till the end, because that decision may be the beginning of the moment you have been waiting for. Part 4. The moment your soulmate said, "I need to see them," the entire conversation changed. This was no longer about wondering, guessing, or asking someone else what you might be feeling. Your soulmate had reached the point where they wanted the truth directly from you. But before making that move, they asked one final question: "Do you think they would even want to hear from me?" The person close to you looked at them and answered, "If you are coming with honesty, you may be surprised by what happens." Those words stayed with your soulmate. They picked up their phone, opened your conversation again, and this time they did something different. They didn't type a long explanation. They simply wrote, "There is something I need to tell you." Don't skip, because what happened after that message was the one thing your soulmate had been secretly hoping for. But then, just before sending it, your soulmate received a message from the very person they had met. It contained only one reminder. Don't tell them what you think they want to hear. Tell them what you truly feel. Your soulmate stared at that sentence for several seconds. Then they finally understood why this secret meeting had happened in the first place. It was never really about gathering information about you. It was about confronting feelings they had been avoiding. They had gone looking for answers about your heart, only to discover that their own heart had been waiting for them to be honest. And suddenly, memories began returning: your conversations, your laughter, the moments when you understood them without them explaining anything. They realized something painful: they had been comparing every new connection to the feeling they once had with you, and nothing had felt quite the same. Then came the moment that could turn everything around. Your soulmate finally pressed send. "There is something I need to tell you. I don't know how you will receive it, but I don't want to keep pretending anymore." The message went through. Your soulmate placed the phone down, but within seconds, they picked it up again. No response. Another minute passed. Still nothing. Their confidence began disappearing. They wondered whether they had made a mistake. Then the screen suddenly lit up. Your reply had arrived. Your soulmate opened it, and froze. Because your response was not what they expected at all. It contained only a few words, but those words forced them to read the message 3 times. "I was waiting for you to say that. Stay till the end, because from this point forward, the secret meeting is no longer a mystery. It becomes the reason your soulmate finally realizes how close they came to losing something they never truly stopped wanting." Part 5. Your soulmate read your reply again, then again, because those words were impossible to ignore. "I was waiting for you to say that." Suddenly, every assumption they had made about you began falling apart. They had spent so much time believing you had moved on, believing your silence meant you no longer cared, believing they were the only one carrying these feelings. But now they were staring at proof that their story had never been complete. Don't skip, because what your soulmate said next revealed the real reason they had secretly met someone close to you. They typed, "Then why didn't you tell me?" And your response came quickly, because I thought you didn't want to hear it. Your soulmate stopped. For the first time, they realized both of you had been waiting for the other person to make the first move. The conversation became deeper with every message. Your soulmate admitted that they had been afraid of saying the wrong thing. They confessed that meeting someone close to you was their attempt to understand whether there was still a place for them in your life. Then they finally revealed the part they had kept hidden from everyone. I didn't meet them because I wanted information about you. I met them because I didn't know how to face you. That sentence changed everything. The secret meeting was never about gossip, curiosity, or proving anything. It was about fear, unfinished feelings, and a connection neither of you had fully released. Your soulmate then asked the question they had been carrying for so long. If I had come to you earlier, would you have listened? Your answer made them completely silent. Would have listened. Stay till the end, because the next question exposed the deepest truth of this entire story. Your soulmate looked at the screen for a long time before typing the words they had been too afraid to say. Do you still see a future for us? There was no immediate reply. Seconds felt like minutes. Your soulmate began wondering if they had finally asked too much. Then your message appeared. It wasn't a simple yes or no. You said, I don't know what the future holds, but I know I never stopped caring. Your soulmate closed their eyes for a moment. That was the answer they had secretly hoped for, but it also created a new responsibility. Now they could no longer hide behind uncertainty. They had to decide whether they were ready to turn words into action. And then they sent one final message. Then let me show you what I should have shown you before. Something huge was waiting beyond that sentence, because your soulmate was no longer asking someone else about you. They were preparing to come directly to you. Part 6. The next morning began differently. Your soulmate woke up with one thought that would not leave their mind. They could no longer keep this connection trapped inside unanswered questions. The secret conversation with someone close to you had opened a door, but now they had to decide whether they were brave enough to walk through it. They looked at the message they had sent the night before and whispered to themselves, "This time, I have to be honest." Then their phone rang. It was the same person they had secretly met. But this time, they weren't calling to ask about you. They were calling to say something your soulmate had never expected. I think you should know what happened after I spoke to them. Your soulmate immediately became silent. Don't skip, because this was the missing piece they had been searching for. The person close to you explained that after their conversation, they had thought deeply about everything. They realized your soulmate wasn't simply confused, they were carrying a regret they had never admitted. They said, "There is one thing you should understand." They never stopped caring, but they stopped expecting anything from you. Your soulmate's expression changed. They suddenly understood why you had remained quiet for so long. You weren't necessarily waiting for some perfect moment. You had simply protected your heart from another unanswered attempt. Then came another revelation. The person close to you had noticed something about you that your soulmate had completely misunderstood. You weren't distant because you didn't care. You were distant because you were tired of being the only one wondering where the connection was going. Those words hit your soulmate harder than anything else. They realized the silence between you had not been empty. It had been filled with things neither of you had dared to say. Then your soulmate made a decision. They didn't send another long message. They didn't ask anyone else for advice. They simply wrote to you. I don't want someone else speaking for us anymore. I want to talk to you myself. Your reply came after a short pause, then talk to me. Those 3 words changed the atmosphere completely. Your soulmate knew this was the moment they had been avoiding for so long. They began writing everything they had kept hidden, the doubts, the regret, the memories, and the reason they had stepped away when they should have stayed honest. But just before sending it, they stopped. There was one final truth they had not yet revealed, and it was connected directly to that secret meeting. They knew that once they told you, you would finally understand why they had chosen that particular person to speak with instead of anyone else. Stay till the end, because that reason is about to reveal what your soulmate was truly searching for that day. Part 7. The truth was finally ready to come out, but your soulmate hesitated before saying it. They knew the person they had secretly met was not chosen by accident. That person had been present during a moment your soulmate could never forget. A moment when your name came up and revealed just how deeply this connection had affected them. Your soulmate admitted, I chose them because they know you well enough to tell me the truth, but they also know me well enough to understand why I was afraid. Suddenly, the entire secret meeting made sense. They weren't looking for gossip. They weren't trying to discover your private life. They were searching for one answer, whether there was still a genuine possibility between you. Don't skip, because the answer they received became the reason they finally stopped running from their own feelings. Then your soulmate told you something they had never been able to say directly. I thought you had forgotten me. You asked why they believed that. Their answer was heartbreaking, because every time I wanted to come closer, I remembered how much time had passed, and I convinced myself that you were already happier without me. That confession changed the entire conversation. You realized that while you had been interpreting their silence one way, they had been interpreting yours completely differently. 2 people had been protecting themselves from rejection while secretly hoping the other person would make the first move. And the person close to you had unknowingly become the bridge between those 2 silent worlds. Your soulmate then said something that made the entire secret meeting feel completely different. I didn't need them to tell me whether you loved me. I needed them to tell me whether I still had the courage to ask. Then came the moment your soulmate had been building toward from the very beginning. They looked at the conversation, took a deep breath, and finally wrote, I don't want another person between us. If there is anything left to say, I want to hear it from you. And this time, there was no hesitation on your side either. You told them that the past could not simply be erased, but neither could the connection you had shared. Your soulmate understood that rebuilding trust would take honesty, patience, and real effort, not dramatic promises. And for the first time, they weren't asking you to wait. They were telling you they were ready to show up. But then, just as the conversation seemed to reach its emotional peak, your soulmate received one last message from the person they had secretly met. It said, now you know the truth. Don't waste the second chance you were given. Your soulmate stared at those words, and something inside them settled. The secret meeting had begun with a question about you. It was ending with a decision about them, and the next decision could change everything. Part 8. The next message your soulmate sent was different from everything before it. There was no hesitation, no carefully chosen excuse, and no attempt to hide behind someone else. They simply said, "I want to be honest with you about everything." Then they revealed why that secret meeting had stayed on their mind so intensely. They admitted that when they sat across from someone close to you, they were secretly hoping to hear one sentence, that you still cared. But what they discovered was much deeper. They realized they were not simply missing a person, they were missing the feeling of being understood by someone who had seen parts of them that very few people ever had. Stay till the end, because the final revelation changes the meaning of that entire meeting. Your soulmate then told you the part they had never been able to explain. "I was afraid that if I came back, you would ask me why I left in the first place." And finally, they gave you the answer. They had not stepped away because the connection meant nothing. They stepped away because it meant too much, and they did not know how to handle everything they were feeling. The person close to you had helped them understand that silence had created more confusion than honesty ever could. Your soulmate confessed that after leaving the meeting, they realized something once in a lifetime. They had spent so much time searching for a sign that they had forgotten to simply speak from the heart. Don't skip, because what they said next was the sentence that brought the entire story full circle. Your soulmate looked at your name on the screen and finally wrote, "I don't know exactly where this journey will take us, but I know I don't want to fear deciding our future anymore." And then came the truth behind the secret meeting. They had not gone there to find out whether you belonged with someone else. They had gone there because they wanted to know whether they still belonged somewhere in your heart. The answer they received gave them enough courage to come directly to you. And now, for the first time, both of you were standing on the same side of the conversation, with no messenger, no guessing, and no hidden questions between you. Something huge was waiting beyond this moment, because the secret meeting that once seemed mysterious had actually been the beginning of a much bigger realization. Your soulmate was not searching for information about you, they were searching for the courage to finally tell you how they truly felt.